Keep watching The Politics every Friday, 12 p.m. Eastern Time on New York Parrot TV, the voice for humanity.
Welcome to Talking Politics. I'm sorry we're late a few minutes again. I am Robert Press, your host. I write for the Bronx Chronicle, as you can see by my official New York City press card. I also contribute to the Co-op City News and Parkchester Times. The latter, like this show, is part of Muslim media. If you are not enjoying us live, I hope you will watch us on YouTube at any time at your pleasure. I also have a blog at 100%.bronx.blogspot.com and Facebook pages 100%, 100%, that is, and what is going on in your community board. The views expressed on this show are those of the host, any guest, or any commentators whose words you may see scrolled across the bottom of your screen, and not necessarily those of Muslim media. Let's go to today's weather, or the weather for the weekend. Today will be windy with a temperature getting up to about 42 with partially sunny skies. Saturday we'll see snow early in the morning, maybe about an inch or so, with the temperature getting up to only 38. Sunday, the temperature breaks 40 with lots of sunshine, and Monday warms up a little, getting up to 43 with more sunshine. Let's go to the special election results that happened on February 13th. In the 3rd Congressional District, Tom Suozzi returns to Congress as he received 91,338 votes, or 54% of the vote. Candidate Mazi Phillip received 78,229 votes, or 46% of the total of 170,098 votes cast. Here in the Bronx, in the 77th Assembly District, Landon Dias, D-I-A-S, received 1,026 votes, or 74% of the votes. Norman McGill received a total of 288 votes, or 21% of the votes, with 72 write-in votes. Of the total of 1,386 votes cast, that is less than 4% of the total vote eligible, and school board elections were eliminated because they only got 5% of the vote. So maybe we should eliminate special elections here in the Bronx. On to the Independent Redistricting Committee. The Independent Redistricting Committee voted 9-1 to approve new congressional lines yesterday that closely aligned with the lines that are already in place, making only minor changes to a handful of upstate districts. It's unclear whether the state legislature will vote to accept the proposal map or reject it and attempt to draw their own, as they did in 2022 before it was ruled unconstitutional. Neither Assembly Speaker Carl Hastie nor Senate Majority Leader Andrea Stewart-Cousins was ready to offer an opinion on the new maps. If lawmakers should reject the plan, they would have to move expeditiously to draw and vote on new maps if they want to finalize district lines before petitioning starts on February 27th. Obviously, the Board of Elections is probably going to tell any incumbent, don't go into any fringe area because we don't know if that's going to be your district or not. Now, lawmakers in the legislature are set to take the next week off and are not scheduled to return again until February 26th. Like I said, neither leader has given any indication they intend to call their members back during the holiday, and some members have told reporters that the Assembly is unlikely to come back early anyway. Lawmakers need a supermajority to approve a new map, which Democrats have in both chambers, but just a handful of Democrats. If a handful of Democrats don't support the lines, they could get rejected or require Republican support to get them through. State Senator James Scuffless was the first lawmaker to put out a statement about the proposed map, and he did not mince his words. These maps are a disgrace. They ought to be rejected by the legislature, the Hudson Valley Democrats said in a statement shortly before commissioners voted to send them to the legislature. Scuffless said the plan only serves to protect incumbents of both parties, pointing out the way the new map splits Orange County between the 18th and the 19th congressional districts. In fact, the most meaningful edit to the map sacrifices Orange County at the altar of partisan splitting the currently unified county into two congressional districts in an attempt to protect one incumbent from each party, Scuffless said. Under the current map, all of Orange County is contained within the 18th Congressional District, represented by Representative Parrot. The Independent Redistricting Committee proposal would split up the county, moving a small portion into the 19th Congressional District, represented by Representative Mark Malarno, along with other small changes in the two swing districts, such as moving more of northern Ulster County from Milano's district to Ryan's district. This shift would make Ryan's district slightly more Democratic leaning and Milano's district slightly more Republican leaning. The IRC would make an even more significant change to the 22nd Congressional District in Central New York, currently represented by Representative Brandon Williams. The Central New York District is one of the seats Democrats are hoping to flip in November, and the proposed map would make it slightly more Democratic leaning. It is only one of the swing seats with a Republican incumbent that the plan would even somewhat disadvantage. Commissioners did not make any changes on any districts in Long Island, including the newly Democratic District 3rd Congressional District, nor the 17th District in Hudson Valley, currently represented by Mike Law, a Republican. That district is another priority for Democrats to flip. Most of New York City remains largely unchanged, including the 11th Congressional District on Staten Island and South Brooklyn that Democrats had hoped to flip back. One of the more noticeable tweaks is in Congresswoman Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez's district. She has regained parts of Jackson Heights while losing City Field and South Corona, which were moved into Congresswoman Grace Meng's district. AOC, though, keeps Co-op City, and it looks like fireman Jamal Bowman could be in serious trouble with 5% of his district still in Westchester County, where his opponent is Westchester County Executive George Latimer. Donald Trump, his hush money trial will go ahead as scheduled with jury selection starting March 25th, a New York judge ruled yesterday. Turning aside demands for delay and the former president's defense lawyers who argued it would interfere with his campaign to retake the White House. The decision means that the first of Trump's 4 criminal proceedings will proceed to trial, as the case centers on years-old accusations that he sought to bury stories about an extramarital affair that arose during the 2016 presidential run. Other cases charge him with plotting to overturn the results of the 2020 election and illegally hoarding classified documents in his Florida estate. In leaving the trial date intact, Judge Manuel Marchin pointed to the recent delay in the separate prosecution in Washington related to the efforts to undo the 2020 election. That case, originally set for March 4th, has been effectively frozen pending the outcome of Trump's appeal on the legally untested question of whether a former president enjoys immunity from prosecution for actions taken while in office. Assuming the New York case remains on schedule, will open just weeks after the Super Tuesday primaries, colliding with on the political calendar with a time in which Trump will be looking to sew up the Republican race and emerge as the presumptive nominee in this year's presidential contest. We strenuously object to what is happening in his courtroom. His defense lawyer said President Trump is now going to spend the next 2 months working on his trial instead of out on the campaign trail running for president, which is something that has not happened in this country. Trump made a similar case after leaving the courtroom, telling reporters instead of being in South Carolina or other states, I'm going to be stuck here in court. Over the past year, Trump has lashed out at Judge Manchin as a Trump-hating judge, asking him to step down from the case, and he has sought to move the case from state court to federal court, all to no avail. The judge has acknowledged making several small donations to Democrats, including $15 to Trump's rival, Joe Biden, but said he's certain his ability to be fair and impartial. Trump's lawyers accused Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg, a Democrat, of bringing the case to interfere with Trump's political chances, as Bragg's predecessor, Cyrus Vance Jr., declined to prosecute the case on a similar standing. The Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl victory party did not go as planned, as a shooting at the victory party rally left 1 person dead and at least 21 others wounded on Wednesday, officials said, shattering a joyous afternoon for the massive crowd that was celebrating the Chiefs' latest NFL title. Lisa Lopez Galvin, a Kansas City area radio DJ, has been identified as the person who died after being shot at the victory party or victory rally. 4 hospitals received 29 patients after the shootings. Officials said 19 of those people were treated for gunshot wounds. 3 were wounded in critical condition, hospital officials said. Children's Mercy Hospital received 12 patients from the incident, according to Stephanie Mayer, Senior Vice President and Chief Nursing Officer. 11 of those are children between the ages of 6 and 15. 9 of the children were shot, and all are expected to recover. Some of the people were trampled on as crowds left the area. The area where the shooting took place in Union Station was steps away from where the team held a victory rally for thousands of fans after the parade ended. Kansas City Police Chief Stacey Graves said more than 800 law enforcement officers were in the area for the event when the shooting happened on the west side of Union Station. Children were able to come to see the football heroes as school districts in Kansas City metro area had canceled classes to allow children to attend the celebration. Players were still on the stage of the Chiefs' victory rally when the shooting took place, mingling with each other after it had ended. While some people began filtering out of the area, it was still packed with fans who began to flee in fear after the sound of shots. 3 suspects, all teenagers, have been detained, according to Kansas City police. Charges have not yet been filed. They added several guns have been recovered, and it was a dispute between several people that escalated into gunfire, not terrorism, police said. Excuse me. Now, as far as our Monday night subway shooting, officers from the Regional Task Force of the NYPD arrested a 16-year-old boy in connection with a deadly shooting at the Mount Eden subway station during rush hour on Monday. He is being held while awaiting charges. The teen is one of 3 suspect shooters for the February 13th shooting that authorities said stemmed from a dispute between 2 rival gangs who boarded the same train at different stations. One group got on at 125th Street, another got on at 161st Street by Yankee Stadium. And when the 2 groups came together, there was a verbal dispute that quickly led into a physical fight. The first shots were fired as the northbound number 4 train pulled into the elevated Bronx Mount Eden station shortly before 5 p.m., continued onto the crowded platform as passengers fled and down into street level. Authorities later recovered 19 shell casings, 3 of them inside the subway car, others on the platform and down on the street level. New York City Police Chief of Detectives Joseph Kenny said. A 35-year-old man identified as Obed Beltran Sanchez died after being shot in the chest. 5 other people were wounded. A 14-year-old female was shot in the foot. A 29-year-old male was shot in the arm. A 29-year-old female was shot in the face and neck. A 14-year-old male was shot in the leg and ear, and a 71-year-old male was shot in the thumb. Police say if anybody has any information, they should call 1-800-577-TIPS. Wow. This was done at the Tuesday afternoon snow press conference by Mayor Eric Adams. And also at that press conference, Chancellor David Banks said, yes, so the New York City public schools have a more challenging Tuesday morning, as we have heard from parents across the system. So just to put it into context, we have done a lot of preparation for this remote learning day. And when the mayor and I spoke early yesterday about notifying parents and getting ready, that was Monday afternoon, it was critical to make the right call about having a remote day. Our superintendents were notified, our principals, our teachers were ready. We worked out with our unions, parents were notified, and we were all set and ready to go for a remote learning day. Then just shortly before 8 a.m., we began to get word that parents and students were having difficulty logging in. Those systems are completely tied to the work that we do with IBM. IBM authenticates the users and the users' names, and it appears that IBM was not ready for prime time, and that's what happened. Now, not every student was locked out. We had thousands of kids who were able to get on with no problem. We've been working this morning with IBM senior officials, and now at 12 p.m., that was Tuesday afternoon, Chancellor Banks said about 850,000 folks were online, which included teachers and staff. Now, Mayor Adams, I don't know why I keep calling him de Blasio, Mayor Adams said that it was a glitch. I'm going to stop here for a commercial. When I come back, I'm going to get into Governor Hochul's retail theft program and a couple other items. So let's go to a commercial right now. Mr. Producer, a commercial. Okay, obviously he's a little late with our commercial, so we won't have one. Governor Hochul's retail theft plan, as larceny's offenses spike, Governor Hochul proposes major expansion of resources to fight the retail theft and she wants to keep New Yorkers safe. She says that public safety is her top priority, and she won't rest until every New Yorker feels safe on our streets and subways and storefronts. Over the past 3 years, we've made incredible progress in driving down violent crime and fighting the scourge of gun violence. Now we're using the same strategy to take on the quality of life issues like retail theft and property crime. Her executive budget includes a plan to fight retail theft and property crime by launching a retail theft joint operation with all levels of law enforcement. The plan includes introducing legislation to establish criminal penalties for online marketplaces and third-party sellers that foster the sale of stolen goods, and increase criminal penalties for assaulting retail workers. Setting up New York State Police, a New York State Police smash and grab enforcement unit. The executive budget includes $25.2 million in new funding to deploy a dedicated state police team to build cases against organized retail theft rings and create a New York State Police enforcement unit for that purpose. $10 million in funding for DAs to prosecute criminal cases and deploy dedicated retail theft teams in district attorneys' offices. $5 million for additional state funding to build the capacity of local law enforcement to combat retail theft, and $5 million for commercial security tax credit to help business owners offset the cost of certain measures. Now, when we look at the 5 district attorneys, Bronx District Attorney Darcel Clark said retail theft endangers store employees, shoppers, and devastates our community, especially when businesses close. My office continues to prioritize the prosecution of larceny recidivists by employing a task force dedicated to handling these offenders. Brooklyn District Attorney Eric Gonzalez said the Brooklyn DA's office has been laser focused on the stubborn and persistent issue of retail theft, which hurts our businesses and consumers alike. Queens District Attorney Melinda Katz said local businesses are crucial to the success of our communities. My office, in partnership with the NYPD, has launched the Queens Merchants Business Improvement Program to help combat retail theft in Queens. Staten Island District Attorney Michael McMahon said that despite opinions to the contrary, retail theft is not a victimless crime. These brazen thieves threaten the safety of employees and law-abiding citizens or shoppers alike, worsen the quality of life and overall shopping experience for everyday New Yorkers, and weaken our local economy. Now, Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg said, Manhattan is the retail capital of the country, and we need our business to continue to thrive. The number of retail complaints reported in Manhattan in 2023 was down 23% compared to 2022. Maybe Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg, that is because retail crime doesn't get reported in Manhattan with a district attorney who lets people out who attack police officers. And as a matter of fact, one of the migrants who was freed after being accused of assaulting 2 New York police officers has now been charged with robbery and petty theft. Darwin Andres Gomez Quillo was seen walking out at 110th Precinct in Queens on Wednesday after being slapped with the new charges. The 19-year-old is one of 7 migrants indicted by Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg over the January 27th Times Square melee, and he was one of the 4 migrants who was believed to have fled New York City after they were released on no bail. But Gomez was spotted with 3 other suspects on Tuesday attempting to shoplift about $608 worth of items in a Macy's store in Queens. When they were confronted by a security guard, a struggle ensued before one of the suspects punched an employee, according to police. And Gomez was able to run away initially, but he was taken into custody later. The other three are still at large. Mayor Adams is suing the big media companies fueling a nationwide youth mental health crisis. He says the city is built on innovation and technology, a place where we celebrate progress and look to the future. But over the past decade, we have seen how addictive and overwhelming the online world can be, exposing children to content they are not ready to, disrupting the educational process, and seriously damaging their self-esteem and well-being. Our most recent data has found that young people in New York City are experiencing anxiety, hopelessness, and even attempted suicide at rates we have never seen before. There is growing evidence that the power of social media is a major cause. This is a serious problem, must be addressed now. Our administration has filed a lawsuit against the companies that own 5 social media platforms: TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, and YouTube. We must take action to protect our children from harm online, including the growing danger of social media. Instead of talking to each other over lunch at the cafeteria, they're absorbed in their screens. Instead of playing in the park with their friends, they're inside on a sunny day clicking and scrolling. And instead of learning confidence and resilience, they are being exposed to content that often leads to insecurity and depression. The features that keep young people clicking in these dark corners of social media have fueled an alarming rise in online bullying, depression and eating disorders, and suicide ideation. Social media can damage self-esteem, promote addiction, and often encourages reckless behavior like subway surfing and car theft challenges. Instead of connecting people to one another, our social media companies initially promised their platforms often tear us apart. These companies are well aware of that their negative, frightening, and outrageous content generates continued engagement and continued revenue for the companies. This is why New York City is joining hundreds of school districts around the country filing this litigation to protect our children. Internal TikTok documents reveal that more than 20% of children are active on the platform between midnight and 5 a.m. when they should be sleeping. In recent years, there was a 40% increase in high school students reporting persistent sadness and hopelessness. Emergency room visits for anxiety disorders are up 117%, and nationwide suicide rates for youth are up an alarming 57%. We're facing a serious youth mental health crisis, Mayor Adams said. These companies must change their behavior and their business practices and join us in building a better society for all. We know our tech companies can.
That there is a publishing company that wants to make life easier for you as a writer. This publishing company is called World Inkers Printing and Publishing. We publish in all different languages, and we're looking for writers of all genres, all formats. We're looking for scholars, ghostwriters, playwrights, poets, short fiction, novelists, you name it. We're looking for anybody who is interested in writing and the craft of writing to be in touch with us. You can reach us at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. With World Inkers Printing and Publishing, you do not require a lot of money to publish with us. Contact us today at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. Become a winner with other authors at World Inkers Printing and Publishing. Give us a shot. We will surely finish you.
My apologies. I have not been looking at my little chat with my producer who asked me to take a break. It is my fault, so I apologize to you, and I'll continue on this. Mayor Adams says we spend over $100 million on youth mental health programs each year alone, even as these corporations reap billions of dollars of profits at the cost of our young people's emotional, mental, and physical health. That is why we are also releasing our social media action plan, which will help chart a new course forward in several key areas. First, we are advocating state and federal policymakers to put in place laws that require social media companies to ensure that platforms are safe for our youth mental health. Second, we will be providing media literacy and education to support our young people and their families. This includes promoting tech-free zones to encourage young people to socialize in person. And finally, our action plan will study the long-term impacts of social media on our youth to understand how New York City can better address the harm caused by these social media platforms. If you use Tide Pods, you may be saying goodbye to them, as the New York City Council could soon ban Tide Pods and other laundry detergent packs under the latest green push forward by lawmakers. The Pods plastic bill introduced by City Councilman James Gennaro last week would make it illegal to sell any pods and laundry sheets if they're made with polyvinyl alcohol. Fines for selling pods would start at $400, double for a second violation, and top off at $1,200 for flouting the rules more than twice if the bill becomes law. The bill would require education and outreach to businesses on the ban the first year. The law wouldn't take effect until January 1st, 2026 if passed. Polyvinyl alcohol, or PVA, is used as a film in the pods that dissolve in water during a wash cycle, but scientists counter that when it breaks down, it goes into tiny microplastic pieces that still pollute waterways and slip through the filtration system. About 19,000 tons of PVA are used in pods each year, and more than 8,000 tons are being left untreated in U.S. water, according to a 2021 study. The PVAs are most concerning of emerging contaminants, Gennaro told the Post. In his story, it's important for people to know that I'm being very cautious and taking a science-based approach. But I think science is ultimately going to bear out that something counts, that this is something the council should act upon, he said, noting preliminary findings that found the microplastic bind with other contaminants in the water supply. I need a little more information before I put this bill out to get everyone's attention, Gennaro said. Okay, now, if you go to my blog at www.10percentbronx.blogspot.com or 100%.blogspot.com, I put up this morning an item about the Doe Fund, a nonprofit organization dedicated to combating homelessness, which has broken ground at 3118 Webster Avenue, right in between East 204th and 205th Street. The site will be an 11-story, 109-unit project in the Norwood neighborhood of the Bronx. There will be 39 units of supportive housing for individuals and families who have experienced chronic homelessness. That is double the number of units for homeless people that is required by a city council resolution, which mandates 15% of all units be set aside for homeless individuals in the city subsidized buildings. I am sorry if I sound like I am against housing the homeless, but when Mayor Bill de Blasio was in office, I often fought with him saying that the Bronx has only 18% of the city's population, but 37% of the city's homeless population. Mayor Eric Adams needs to look at this imbalance of the homeless population as the city has continued to build more and more homeless or supportive units in an already overburdened borough. Now, Samaritan Daytop Village, which operates a 200-patient clinic at 2800 Bronxwood Avenue in Community Board 11, this past Tuesday, representatives came to a Bronx Community Board 11 Health Committee meeting telling the committee that they are going to have a 50-unit supportive housing unit at 1521 Jarrett Place. That is a 2-block square of Montefiore Hospital clinics, and the site that at 1521 Jarrett was a cancer treatment center that Montefiore Hospital has moved, as it will with all its medical offices that are in this 2-block area when the new Metro North rezoning allows for the building of 20-story buildings on the opposite side of Eastchester, where Montefiore's Einstein Hospital is currently located. Simone Developers recently bought the closed former Pathmark or Stop and Shop shopping center on Eastchester Road and will build for Montefiore Hospital there. By the way, 2 new 200-bed single men shelters are almost finished in Community Board 11. One is on Blondell Avenue, or almost around the corner from Einstein Hospital, and another is near the new Parkchester Van Ness Metro North Station, Poplar Street. If the new Metro North proposal for 2 stations in Community Board 11 it's now slated to receive 7,500 units of new affordable housing, which is up from the 6,000 proposed by Mayor Eric Adams. If any of the new buildings take the city's get money from the city, where the Housing Preservation Development corporation will provide financing or tax breaks, 15% of those units must go to homeless people. That would mean that Community Board 11 could have over 1,000 new homeless people in the coming years, or as some will call formerly homeless, which is more than double the responsibility of the Community Board. Plus the fact that Samaritan Village said almost all of its residents will come from outside Community Board 11, as will most of these new homeless people. That is like the majority of the Bronx that former Mayor de Blasio admitted to, that when I had the fights with him about the homeless people coming from outside the Bronx into the Bronx, he said, well, we will stop doing it unless we have to. And of course, the city kept doing it. At one building where I saw Mayor Bill de Blasio dedicated, this is about 3 years ago, he said that we now have a homeless woman and her son who came from Florida, and they will have a new home. We need to, if we're going to build homeless shelters in the Bronx, we need to house Bronx people in those shelters. Now, lastly, before I leave and go off the air and say goodbye to you, Bronx Borough President Vanessa Gibson is looking for people to apply to be on their local community boards. The application is online at the BP's website, which is www.borough.nyc.gov/community boards. And the application process ends on March 1st, unless the BP extends it like she did last year. It should be noted that the Bronx Borough President is currently looking at the attendance of current Bronx Community Board members. So if you cannot dedicate the time to be a Community Board member, please don't apply. Besides the online application, there was a virtual interview last year by the Borough President's office. I went through the process with all my experience, and still I wasn't chosen to be on Community Board 11, but that's besides the point. This year, it's questionable whether I'll reapply or not, but things are looking. I'm being asked to apply for the community board here in Community Board 11 where I live. I'm on 2 committees of the community board. I'm the only member of the public who's on these committees from the community board area currently. And normally in the past, it was said that you should be on a committee of the community board, and that is a prelude to being a member of the community board. Yes, Kevin, I agree with you. Once they have a home, they won't be homeless anymore. So let me end it right there and say, yes, Mr. AJ, we see your comment, and I'm sure my producer is going to show me a lot more of your other comments that he hasn't put up. So let me say goodbye. Thank you for watching. And let me give a special goodbye to my former co-host, Anthony Ravecchio, who is watching the show now. And let me say goodbye and thank you all for watching.
Do you know that there is a publishing company that wants to make life easier for you as a writer? This publishing company is called World Inkers Printing and Publishing. We publish in all different languages, and we're looking for writers of all genres, all formats. We're looking for scholars, ghostwriters, playwrights, poets, short fiction, novelists, you name it. We're looking for anybody who is interested in writing and the craft of writing to be in touch with us. You can reach us at info.worldinkers@gmail.com. With World Inkers Printing and Publishing, you do not require a lot of money to publish with us. Contact us today at info.worldinkers@gmail.com.